And we are live. What up, players? Welcome to another episode of Player Life. It is Friday, April 22nd, here in Tokyo, Japan, on this bright and sunny, well, still morning, 11:49 a.m. here. All is good, all is well, as always, you know, keeping on, sip of my morning coffee. So yeah, indeed. Good night last night. Good night indeed. Met a nice Mongolian girl. Good times, good times. Funny thing is, I've never, I've like until last week, I'd, I'd never been with. Yeah, really, I don't think I've ever been with Mongolian girls until last week. And within a week, I hooked up with two Mongolian girls. Like just on the random, like in complete two different places in Tokyo. I met the girls in two completely different places in Tokyo. Like, I didn't specifically try and go for Mongolian girls, but I just met them. Like, it's weird. It's weird that sometimes there's just these weird coincidences. Like, things happen together for some weird reasons. Like, you know, strange. But I mean, I'm not complaining. It was a good time. But yeah, so I just want to share this bit of information. Um, this one time only game webinar, which is hosted by Red Pill Thor, um, and is going to be held on April 25th at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. PST. The webinar will feature Red Pill Thor, Sterling Cooper, Mac the Day Gamer, myself obviously, Huds, and Afi Kingdom. So the workshop is going to be on how to get started with threesome game, harem game, BDSM, lifestyle escalation, erotic dirty talk, and much more. So if you're interested in it, check out the link in the chat or the link in the description, and sign up. It's definitely gonna, if you're just looking for some information on how to get started in any of this or just learn about it, yeah, sign up. It'll be worth it for sure. So that is that. Should be a good time. I mean, we all know our stuff. We've put in the time. We certainly put in the time into the degeneracy. So now we can share how it goes down. Um, yeah, it's pretty wild once your eyes get opened up to it. But yeah, today I want to talk about why the women like the bad boys. This is the age old question. Why do the women like the bad boys? But yeah, why do the women like the bad boys? Yeah, I wonder. But I mean, it's just how women are built, um and it's not that women, like, it's not that they want to deal with a complete asshole right off the bat. It's not like when guys hear, oh, women like assholes, they think they like have to be a dickhead, like an aggressive dickhead. Like, if you're aggressive towards a chick, she's gonna be like turned off. It's not like that. It's like, you know women want to deal with a guy that, well, first of all, he has a certain look about him. Obviously, looks do matter for anyone who doesn't know. Looks are important. Looks get you in the door. And if you have that kind of bad boy little bit, that bad boy look, and it could be not necessarily only that look. There's different chicks like different kinds of looks. Um, but the thing that they'll all have in common is that they'll like chicks like athletic, muscular men. So it's like women all like the same shape, but they just like different decorations. how is the man decorated? That's kind of like, because men are just fucking freaks, man. Like, really, like, you know I saw this some guy post something on Twitter yesterday. It was like it was a chick that's like she was probably like a 4 out of 10, maybe even a 3. I don't know, 4, 3. I don't know. She wasn't that hot, but she was posted up. She was posting like a sexy selfie or something. A picture of her ass. What's new? This is what's going on. Chicks do it all the time. It's not a big deal. But she wasn't hideous. I wouldn't say she was hideous, but wasn't like, she wasn't hot. That's for sure. But like, this guy was like, oh my god, like, why did this get so many likes? And it's like, dude, like, there's far worse, far more hideous chicks, like far uglier chicks posting nudes that get way more likes. I mean, if you don't believe me, just log on to any porn website, go on to Pornhub, wherever it may be. Look at some of the categories. Look at the BBW categories, and look at how many likes. Look at how many the hundreds. Some of those videos have millions of views, hundreds of thousands of likes. So you know, the guys standards are very fucking low, like really low. Behind closed doors. So all this internet porn stuff, it's all behind closed doors. So guys will be, the data doesn't lie. The data is there. And yeah, what's funny about a lot of guys, like the psychology around guys, is like, the only time guys, a lot of time guys will have standards, like in front of their friends and out in public. But behind closed doors, or when they're really drunk, or when at the end of the night, they'll guys will accept anything they can get. A lot of guys will, not every guy, but a lot of guys will. It's I don't know. I honestly, I prefer guys that are more like just honest about it. Like, if there's this, like, I had one friend, and it's kind of rare that guys are honest about it though. But I had a friend when I lived up in northern Japan. He was from Jamaica, but I really respected the guy because he's a savage. Like, he would be really open about, like, yeah, he would smash almost anything, and he could get with hot girls too. But he would actually be able to get with hot girls too. But he would punch so far down, and he would have no shame about it, just because he's just like, fuck it, I just want to do it. Just need to get my bit, you know. And I respected that about him, because he wasn't like, pretending that he would never smash down. Because a lot of guys just are pretenders. Like, they're just fucking pretenders. Like, they'll say, oh, oh, she's not like, there'll be a super hot girl, and maybe she'll have small tits, and you'll be like, oh, she has small tits, I can't. Ugh. She's not my type. She's a 5. And it's like, dude, what? Like, dude, like, I've seen you with like ones. Like, yeah, it's a thing that bothers me about guys. But when they pretend that they're only smashing 10s, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, but yeah, it's a thing. But kind of sidetracking. But yeah, for women, um looks do matter. And like I said, women all have roughly like the same shape, like the V taper, wide shoulders, like, slim waist with the, six pack abs, the pecs, biceps, all that stuff, muscular, athletic. But they like different, different decorations. So, some chicks like the, hip hop look, some chicks like the rock look or whatever, different archetypes. But in general, they're no chicks are gonna no chicks like fat dudes. Like, and if they do, they're capping. They're capping, you know. They're pretending that they like fat dudes, but they don't really like, the dad bod. Oh, the dad bod, so hot right now. It's not like, it's really not, they're really not that attracted to it. It's just, it's propaganda to make guys even worse than they already are. It's like, yeah, but I mean, there's like some guys can be fucking pretty fit and actually it's funny because it's funny when you look at Tyson Fury. The guy's like the heavyweight boxer of the world, but like he just has rolls of fat. Like he's not obese by any means at all, but he just has like fucking rolls of fat. Like when Tyson Fury gets hit, like this, it's like a fucking tsunami of fat rolls just going through him. And like and then you come yeah, it's not like that's yeah, that's I mean that's not like yeah, that's not an attractive look, to be honest, like for chicks. Like I mean there's a that's like there's a joke, there's kind of like a joke on the internet, like that's peak male fit, the peak the ideal male body. And it's like, I mean maybe for boxing, maybe for that sport, but like in terms of attractiveness, it's not like women aren't gonna be like, oh my god, it's so hot. They might think, it's hot, that they'll be attracted to his status and the fact that he's the world heavyweight champion, but like they're not gonna. They'd rather he was like ripped. It's funny because he has a younger brother. I think it's a half brother, but his half brother is like super ripped. But yeah, he's not as. I don't think he pulled out of some fucking fight with Jake Paul, was it? So he seems like a bit of a pussy compared to his older brother. But his younger brother is in way better condition, way better condition. I'm just gonna show it. It's kind of off topic, but right. Tommy, I think his name's Tommy Fury. Um, he's way. It's weird how they're brothers. Um, let me see. Yeah, pull it up. Motherfucker. Fuck that. I'll just show this page. All right. So, that's his younger brother. Looks completely different to him, but it is a half brother apparently. Yeah, I mean he is like the a body that chicks would like a lot. You know, uh, yeah, definitely up there. In terms of peak physical condition, but Tyson Fury, not quite. I mean, that's when he was drinking. That's when he wasn't training, obviously. But yeah, I mean, no, I just saw a video of him training the other day, and uh, no, he's a fucking he's unbelievable boxer. But I'm just saying, he doesn't have the yeah the luck that chicks would dig. I mean, some chicks might be, like I said, they're gonna be into his status. The fact that chicks would be more into his status than they'd be into his like physical appearance. That's just what I'm trying to say. Uh, um, yeah. So there's a look that chicks are gonna wanna. Yeah, chicks like I said, they'll have different. They'll differ on how they like a man to be dressed or whatever. What he's into and all that. But yeah, once a man starts getting chubby or fat, they're not into it. Like the thing chicks do differ on is like how muscular a guy can be. Because some chicks are into guys that are like kind of ripped, athletic, smart, like sharp looking. Um, and then I think that's like the baseline. It goes from like that ripped athletic look to like rugby player kind of look. So and then everything in between, you know. They don't go below that. Like when the guy starts getting like, if he starts going below like athletic, and that means you're skinny, like you're skinny in all the categories beyond that, like skinny to like just obese, like just not you know. It's obviously better to be skinny than be obese, but uh yeah, being too skinny is also not a good thing. I look back on photos and like even recent, like I was too skinny for the longest time, and man, I wish you know what I mean. Sometimes you just need to. It's just weird. Like, cause I always felt fit, but for a long time I was too skinny. But I don't think I'm not too skinny now. But only recently. I mean, you know, I would say I started putting on, getting into good physical, like ideal shape. About a year and a half ago, really recently. Like, I mean, I was too skinny for longest time, and but yeah, just more action. I think it was more to do with diet because I was always fit. Um, I was always fit, but it was just the fucking it was the diet. I wasn't intaking enough protein, and I just didn't really care about it. Um, but fuck, man, yeah, I wasted quite. I wasted quite a lot of time actually. Like, I mean, all my 20s, I don't think I was ever in ideal physical condition. There was times where I was extremely ripped, like 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 really ripped, but way too skinny, really. Um, and but yeah, whatever. It's in the past, but better late than never. But I'm gonna make some commentary on this video. See what why women fall for bad boys. So let me just share screen.
Here's another thing that could be pitted in that competition. So imagine you had men who could confer benefit and who were incapable of inflicting cost, and men who could confer benefit but were capable of inflicting cost. I think you'd see winners on that side because of that free rider problem. And that ties into what we'll discuss in relationship to the Dark Triad, because there's some mystery about why women seem to be attracted to these so-called Dark Triad traits. And I would say that they're using them as insufficient markers for the ability to or the acquisition of status. So, and narcissists capitalize on that, right? Because a narcissist looks confident, and lots of confident people are competent, but some confident people aren't competent, but they can fool you. Yes. And then I think the other explanation is that if you had to choose between a benefit conferrer who could punish free riders and one who couldn't, you should pick the former.
One who. All right, so let me see. So the Dark Triads. Let me just share another screen. All right, so the Dark Triad: psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellism. So psychopathy is impulsive, emotionally cold, remorseless. Example: body language inappropriate or lack of emotional expression. So, yeah, I mean, there is something to be said, about that. It's not that you need to be a psychopath, but that some traits can definitely benefit you in game. Because if you're emotionally cold, if you're emotionally like cold, you're not going to be like, chicks will honestly get like turned off if you're too upfront, like a friend of mine, he's a Japanese guy, and I would say he I don't hang out with him too much, but his game's pretty bad. I mean, honestly, I don't even, it's just different, man. We're very different people. But he told me yesterday that he went on a first date with a girl, and he told her he basically like, I couldn't believe it really, but The Japanese have a different style of doing it, so I don't. I mean, I could teach them, but it's kind of weird teaching Japanese people like how to do game in their own country. But you know, he told me that he basically asked her to be his girlfriend on the first date, and like that is like yeah, that's like a. I mean, that's just zero game involved there, but you know, like if you do something like that, she's gonna see you as being like, you know, emotionally weak. But yeah, so then we have narcissism. Well, and then it also depends on the guy as well. Like, I mean, how much of a Chad are you? Like, maybe you could get away with doing something like that if you're absolute Chad, and like you say it in such a way that there are ways, like when you have enough game, there are ways to get away with anything almost, you know. Um, and that's the way it is. It's like the better you look, like the less game you need. And it's not that you don't need game, but it's the less you need to employ game tactics, you know. And that's a cold hard truth. Like it's yeah, just is what it is. We're not all equal, so we all have to work with the cards we're dealt. Narcissism, grandiosity, perceived superiority, entitlement. Example: body language, first person focus on self. Okay. Grandiosity, perceived superiority, and entitlement. Yeah, I mean, girls are certainly not attracted to guys that are, you know, self-deprecate, don't, you know, just don't have any confidence. I mean, all the basic shit that we all know. Like, you know, if you go out on a date and you're all insecure and nervous, it's not, you're not endearing, you're not, it's not cute. She doesn't think you're, like I said, the only way you could get away with that if you're like really good looking. You know what I mean? You cannot get away with that if you're an average guy, even a slightly above average guy. Like it's not endearing. They don't think it's cute. They don't think, oh, oh, he's so like shy. No, they think you're fucking twerp, right? That's what they actually think. They think you're a fucking twerp. So you just have to keep that in mind. You know, they're not attracted to that shit. Like, you know, um, Machiavellianism, manipulative, self-interested, and domineering. Um, certainly, certainly they like, you know, they're interested in the domineering aspect. You know, uh, women want to be dominated. There's just no doubt about it. Like they want to be dominated. They want guys to make the first move. Like it's just like a chick making the first move is an act of desperation, in my opinion. I mean, it's not that it doesn't happen, it does happen, but like I told you the story about the girl like fucking delivering or hitting on my friend a couple of weeks back. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but this chick like cucked some Japanese guys that were she was drinking with, and then came and kind of hit on my friend. But that like I was making the point that like never happens me. Like I'm always the one that has to make the move. Like it's not that I don't get like IOIs or anything, but it's just that yeah, it's just a fact. Like it's just those are cards you're dealt. You know, maybe if I was better looking, it might happen, but I am what I am. I can, you know, all you can do is looks max, become the best version of yourself. You know, try and dress well, try and figure out a look that works for you. And that's it, you know, just then you work and you do game and you approach chicks. And, you know, if you're going to be one of these guys that sits around and waits for chicks to come to you, I mean, good luck to you because, you know, unless you're super good looking. And even if you are super good looking, you're not going to get laid half as much. Maybe you can just use dating apps. If you're really good looking, to be honest, you could probably just use dating apps. But dating apps, they only work for a certain percentage of guys. They don't work for. I'd say I'm on the cusp of. I'm on that border. I'm on that line where they kind of work for me, but I. It's on. They're all very unsatisfying for me. They're annoying. I don't like dating. That's why I'm a big proponent of day game, because I like. I'm just yeah. They're just. I'm on the cusp, and a lot of guys are on the cusp of like where it's like you can get some girls and you sometimes you match with hot girls, but it's like it's always a fucking struggle. It's always a battle to like get with girls that you want to get with, the kind. But when you go out, day game, night game, you can get those girls. You can get the hot girls. You don't have to fucking look at a screen and swipe and get rejected like 1,000 times just you know what I mean. It is what it is. We're all different. We all have different advantages, disadvantages, But yeah, so yeah, all these triads, if you can employ um some of these traits, it doesn't mean you have to be a psychopath or any of that, but it just means that you kind of employ, manipulative. Like, I mean, some people would say like some of the tactics I am in game are manipulative, but they're not at all. It's like, you know, even when it comes to arranging the date, like I don't just arrange dates. Like every date I arrange is like with the aim of getting laid. I don't go, oh, let's go here and just do whatever. No, like I it's planned out so that I get laid, because we have to do that as men. If we don't do that, it's not gonna work, you know. So it's like I've talked about this before. Do you know, like when I go on dates, it's always like in my locality. I arrange the date in my locality, because if a girl is not willing to come to my area, then that's her telling me that she's not gonna. There's a 95% chance that she's not gonna let me bang on the first date. So I'm not interested then. So I just the fact that I'm arranging that, oh, that's manipulative. No, it's just I'm just trying to like I'm trying to separate the girls that are interested in possibly hooking up from the girls that just want to like go out on a date and waste my time. Because how do I know? Because I've been there, done that. I understand the game. I've done it like hundreds of times. I understand. I've gone out on the dinner dates. I've gone out on all those dates, and then I've done, I've compiled all the data, and I've come to the conclusion that it's not that you can never like bang the girls that you are not willing to come to your area. You can, but it takes more time. It takes more effort. There's like sometimes there's a second date that has to be done. There's a third date, and then maybe after like then by the third date you can get laid. But what's really frustrating about those girls is that you can do all that. You can do everything perfectly, and by the third, like you're not even necessarily being a pussy about it. You're still trying to make moves, but by the third day, you're like, it's time to come home. She says, "Oh, I'm busy," and then she goes to you. She blocks you, and she doesn't meet you again. That's why I don't do that anymore, because I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I'm not looking for a wife. I'm not looking for like any of that. I'm looking to get laid, motherfuckers. That's what it's about for me. Um, so that's why I don't do those dinner dates. I don't do those lunch dates anymore, because it's like that's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, it works out well. And one of my friends is even way more hardcore than that. Like he like when I'll always like go to I have a meeting spot. It's a station, a subway station. It's like it's probably less than a 10-minute walk from my house, and I'll always meet the girls there. And generally, a lot of the time, sometimes it will be established that we're going to have coffee. Sometimes nothing's established. Though it's always best when it's like there's nothing established, because I haven't said what we're doing. So that in those cases, I generally just walk them back to my place. And that's where we go, like, because they didn't ask what we're gonna do, and they don't, no questions is best, because it's like, they kind of like it. It's just they get it, like they get it. They don't want it to be verbalized. That's the whole thing. I always talk about this, like they don't want it to be, because if you start like telling them, oh, let's go back to my place, it's like you're starting to, it's basically kind of like asking them, do they want to have sex with, do you want to have sex? So you don't like, it just like they, a lot of girls appreciate that. I genuinely think, because they don't, you don't have to get into that like discussion about it. And obviously when you get to your place, they don't have to come in if they don't want to, and then some girls don't, and that's fine. But yeah, but it's all about just reading the air. But a friend of mine, he just like, if they don't come, come back to his place, he just goes goodbye to them. Like he'll meet them at wherever his station or whatever, and he'd be like, okay, we're gonna get some wine, and he'll go into this supermarket to buy some wine or something. I think this is what he does, or else he has the wine in his place. But obviously, at some point, the girl will be like, "Oh, where are we going?" And then he'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna have wine, right?" And then the girl would be like, "Oh, well, where's the bar?" And he'd be like, "Oh no, we're going to my place." And then the girl would be like, "Oh, well, yeah." Some of the girls would be like, "Oh, I'm not coming to your place," and he'd be like, "All right, okay, goodbye." And he's just like, "That's it." Like she'll say goodbye to her. But that's his strategy. That's the way he employs it. But the thing I say to him is actually, like, I would never like say just goodbye immediately, because a lot of girls will say no right off the start. They don't want to seem easy. They don't want to seem like it's amazing to me, like how easy it is to change a girl's mind. And this is like being manipulative. No, not at all. Like, but this is what the Dark Triad, you know, manipulative. No, but like all they have to say is, and it's so, sometimes it could be something as simple as, so I'd be like, let's we're going back to my place to have wine, and they're gonna be like, oh no, I don't go back to, I can't go back to your place on the first date. And then it could be something as simple as saying, oh, but we're just gonna chill and drink some wine, and the girl would be like, oh, okay. I like, it can literally like be that like easy to turn it around. Like, and a lot of guys don't realize that. I didn't realize that for the longest time. Like, so a lot of guys, like they're really put off by the girl's tone when she rejects it, and they'll just be like, "Oh shit," like, and then they'll be like, "Oh, so disappointed," and like the girl read, "Oh, this guy's a pussy." But if you're just like, "Oh, but we're just gonna have a glass of wine at my place and relax," and you just say it like that, and the girls are like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, it's just amazing, you know. And of course, some of the girls will be like, "Oh no, I'm not coming," and it's like, "Okay, well, fuck you, goodbye then," you know. Um, yeah, you don't need to be like "fuck you," but it's like, all right, well, we're after different things here, so you know. But it depends on how hot she is as well. Like if she's really hot and she's dressed up, you could take her for a drink in a bar or wherever, take her somewhere, and then try and establish some rapport, and then try and shoot again. That's also worked for me in situations where I've actually, I've tried to bring the girl to my place. This is kind of rare though, because usually when you shoot your shot and you're trying to, she knows that you're trying to bring her back to your place, then either they're into it or they're not. And it's some of these girls get a stinky little attitude. Some of the girls that don't want to, the girls that don't come generally get a stinky attitude when they figure out that you're trying to take them to your place. And there's been no deception or anything. Like, it's not like, I'd understand that they'd be annoyed if it was like, oh, we're gonna go to this certain restaurant, and then you don't go to the restaurant, and then you just try and take them to your place. That's a reason for a chick to be like pissed off, right? I'd understand like that, but I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about situations where it's just like, there's nothing, you haven't discussed where you're going, and then you suggest going into your place, and then some girls get like, oh my god, how dare he do this, or like how dare he ask me to his place. And then it's hard to recover those kind of girls. But some girls are like, oh, can we just go to some other, can we just have a coffee or drink in another place first? And with those kind of girls that are like asking to, go somewhere else first, you can, you can recover that. You can build up some rapport with those girls, like in, over a coffee or a drink. And then like they understand that you're you're just a dude, like cool guy, and you're easy to talk to, and you have game, and you kind of get it. And yeah, you can recover it, and after you have your coffee or drink, you can just bring them back to your place. So it's recoverable. That's why I don't like just cut them off, like just say, oh fuck you, get it, like go home. Then I'm not like, you don't need to be really cutthroat. But it's all about reading different girls, yeah. But different girls, different situations. But yeah, let me just share this again.
One who could deal with free riders, who could and would, had the capability to. And so you see this sort of thing. I really like the Disney movie Beauty and the Beast. I think they got it right. And so there's Gaston in that movie, and he's a narcissist, but he has physical prowess. Like, he can't understand why he's not the guy, but he's narcissistic. And then there's the Beast, who's a beast, but he's tameable. And so he can be a benefit confer, and he has the capacity to inflict cost.
Yes. Yeah. And the two are often correlated in nature. So, like, for example, if you have physical prowess or athletic ability, then you have both the ability to confer benefits, in the form of, say, protection or hunting skills, but also the ability to inflict costs by,
Okay, so let's talk about the Dark Triad then in relationship to agreeableness, because do you want to just tell everybody what the Dark Triad is first, so that we're all on the same page?
Yeah. So the Dark Triad, I think this was originally named by one of your Canadian psychology colleagues, Del Paulus, over at the UBC. And the Dark Triad originally was three triad, but it's narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. So where narcissism is typically marked by a sense of grandiosity, a sense of entitlement. They think they're the most intelligent, the smartest, the most attractive, the most charming, the most skilled, etc. Or, in the words of one of my former graduate students, they think they're hot, but they're not. And I think there's a way in which.
I mean, it's not that, it's not. He said they think they're hot, but they're not. Like it doesn't. They could be hot. Like it could be actually be a thing where they are actually, they are actually fucking the shit. It's got kind of the worst kinds of people. The worst kinds of narcissism is when someone is a piece of shit and they suck, and then they have this sense of superiority or sense of grandiosity when they're a piece of shit. But I mean, if you ever, one of the people who comes to mind that, like, that, who I think that one of the people in this space, the red pill space, that is the most narcissistic, in my opinion, has to be Andrew Tate. But on the other hand, it has to be said that he has he has a lot of reason to talk himself up, because he has the accolades. He's like a, whatever was it, 5-time kickboxing world champion. He's fucking stupidly rich. He has all, like, you know what I mean, he has all the chicks. So, but so when you can back it up, it's kind of different. Like, it's kind of different. And it's like, if you have this sense of narcissism, but you're a piece of shit, like you suck, and then chicks will be even more, will be repulsed by it. It's not that you should be like a narcissist and not you kind of have you're gonna if you're gonna be a narcissist, you have to back it up like somewhat, because when it's legit, you can get away with it, and it can, you can really get away with it. And I can see, chicks can definitely be attracted to you even more. But if you're like a fucking delusional narcissist, then chicks will be like, yeah, even it'll make you even more repulsive. But someone like Andrew Tate can get away with it. Like he can really get away with that. Has to be said, because like, he's, he can back it up basically.
People do have the ability to assess whether that high self-esteem is warranted or not, because we have even words in our language for things like arrogant, that kind of connote someone who is thinks that they're more beautiful or more intelligent or more capable than they actually are. So that's narcissism. But the entitlement is, I think, a critical component of narcissism, where they feel, I'm so great, I deserve a larger share of the pie, including the sexual pie, when we get to the issue of sexual conflict and sexual coercion. Machiavellianism, that stems from the Prince of, I can't remember how many hundreds of years ago that was written, but it's basically people who pursue an exploitative social strategy. So they are, when we were talking about reciprocity earlier, they will feign reciprocity, feign being good reciprocators, but then they will cheat. And so these are the liars, the cheaters.
Right. So if the patriarchy was based on exploitative power, then dark triad personality traits would be adaptively and practically useful and desirable. If that was the case.
Yeah, if that was the case.
Yes. But, yes. Okay. Now, and that gets complicated, because one of the things your research has indicated is that there is a manner in which women are attracted to people who manifest dark triad traits.
Yeah, I would add the qualifier that it tends to be younger women. So teenagers or women in their early 20s, women as they mature and get more experience on the mating market, tend to be less attracted to these dark triad characters.
Okay, so here's.
Okay, so that's an important part of the younger women, the younger, hotter women, the hot women at their prime. Women in their prime are going for these guys with the dark triads, like the Chads, the guys that are pumping and dumping them, that ripped, 6'2", 6'3", athletic fucking guys, just that are gonna break their, blow their backs out, So obviously, it's the whole thing, the party years, the fucking 3 or 4 years, the whole phase. These chicks are getting banged out, man. They're getting banged up. They're just getting railed, man. And so then as they get older, they realize these guys aren't good prospects to be the beta provider. So it's like the guys, the fucking nerds end up, they think their ship, as Rollo Tomasi calls it, they think their ship's coming in when they're, when they're getting these washed up, sloppy 50 seconds, they're getting these girls that have had all the sex, and then it's like the girls are just getting with them because it's like they want a beta provider. They want a guy that's gonna like not cheat, and a guy that's gonna like, he's blue pilled, and he's not gonna do all the fucking, he's gonna stick around, he's gonna raise the children. She'll want him, he'll be like, one of these average guys, a little bit fat, a little bit, average salary, that kind of shit. Just a reliable dude that's just like gonna stick around and do the whole dad shit. Because the bad boy isn't gonna stick around and do that shit. He's not. Like, you can't be a bad boy and be, sticking around being the home husband, You can't. It doesn't work like that. You can't be a bad boy and like be walking around like, with a. I saw this guy the other day, and it was just like yesterday, and I was on my way, but he's just this Japanese guy who's like a middle-aged, not even middle-aged, probably in his late 30s, but he was bald, he had like glasses on, like terrible fashion, like, you know, probably works this normal salary job, makes like 50 grand a year, you know, but he had like a baby like strapped to him. I was like, I was just like, that's like a perfect like beta provider guy. Like he's just a beta. He just like so feminine with a baby. Like like his wife should have been holding. You know, just the way he had it looked so. It just looked so beta. There's nothing wrong with a man holding his child, obviously. Like that's, but just the way he had the strap on, like the baby what harness or whatever it's called. It looks so beta. But yeah, it's just that's the way it is. Like the girls when they're young, you know, right from when they're in high school right up until 25, 20. The thing about Western girls is they're delusional. They think that they can live up their party years right up until they're 30, even though their biology will tell them otherwise. They'll know deep down, like they'll know, like they'll have the sense of anxiety from 26, 27, because girls are aware, like although they're delusional as fuck, like they're still innately they're aware of that, like, you know, that they should be having like 3 or 4 children by the time they're 26. All this is new, like all this shit is new fucking territory. Like it's only very recently in terms of human evolution, like this is all fucking new, like for like only in the last 100 years, like 100 year less, like did women start like putting off having children till like, you know, mid late, you know, putting off children until they're fucking geriatrics, you know. Back in the day, like, you know, 100 years ago too, and like before the, you know, birth control, when the fuck was that invented? It wasn't that long ago. But before that, you know, and even before, you know, the industrial revolution, certainly women were having children, like what, like 17-year-old women were having children easily, like, you know, they were mothers by the time they were 17, like, you know, they were, you know, the life expectancy was much younger. All this shit is like, and the thing is, human like biology doesn't change that much, you know, so it's like the sense of urgency, like a 35-year-old woman, childless woman, is like in a state of pure, I would say, like it's almost like given up at that point. um like they would have like given up, although yeah, but by 30 certainly they'd have a sense of desperation. Matt Debian's in house says it's a good thing you aren't in Ukraine like Coach Red Pill was. Yeah, man, that's a crazy story. I didn't know he was in Ukraine. You know, he was goddamn. Yeah, I watched some of his stuff. You know, he was an interesting guy, but it struck me as odd, like that he remained in. Although I believe it hasn't been confirmed. It hasn't been completely confirmed that he has been killed, but um, he has gone missing. But it's not. It doesn't come as a surprise. I remember. I think it was on uh, I think it was on the Fresh and Fit podcast that he said some people came looking for him, like literally, like they were aware that he was in Ukraine, speaking out against Ukrainian government and speaking out. You know, it's just honestly, it's a very like it wasn't a smart thing to do. I mean, I hope he's all right. I don't, you know, it's not looking good, but man, you know, and it's crazy. I just want to say this thing about Ukraine. Like, I was, I knew this Ukrainian chick, and she was in Tokyo, and you know, I mean, I cold approached her. You know, I did some erotic photography with her and whatnot. But anyway, like I lost touch with her, and she went back to Ukraine, and you know, I looked her up, you know, on Instagram, obviously, and she had fucking changed. Like it looked like she'd become a drug addict and shit. But she was living back in Ukraine. I discovered, you know, from her Instagram. And obviously I looked at who was tagged. She was tagged with some dude, and the guy was like, I just checked out his profile and I was like, holy shit, like this guy looks like a neo-Nazi. There was no there was no explicit like Nazi symbolism, but I scrolled down and then, but since I started looking, the guy started like literally posting like outright like literally posters of pictures of Hitler and all kinds of shit, like literally pure neo-Nazi shit. And yeah, but it's interesting because I that's like a anecdotal, because I've heard like, oh, Ukraine has this neo-Nazi problem. And it turns out, like, anecdotally, like I know, like I have, you know I didn't know whether that was true or not. I didn't do any research on it or anything, but it's just anecdotally I know a chick that her boyfriend is like a neo-Nazi in Ukraine. Like, so it's like there's definitely some truth to it. Like, there's certainly is, like there's literally truth to that. Like, even I can tell that from like knowing. I know a chick in Ukraine that I did an erotic photo shoot with, and now she's in fucking Ukraine dating a straight up neo-Nazi, a guy that celebrates Hitler, a guy that celebrates like all that shit explicitly on his Instagram. But yeah, that's kind of deviating from the topic. But yeah, I mean, God, man, I mean, kind of a debt. He had a debt wish to be there, for real. Like, speaking out against, like, in the middle of a war, speaking out against, like, you know, um, uh, Matt Dobby says he had a fatal heart condition, so I guess he went out speaking his mind. Might have died just from the heart. I hope I'm not kidnapped and tortured. Yeah, man, because like the worst thing that could have happened to him is if he was if kidnapped, because in war situations, especially dirty like conflicts like that, like I'm not proud of it, but I've seen some shit in the internet, man, like from war conflicts and whatnot. But it's not good to look at. But there's like, oh, I've seen stuff from the Syrian conflict, and even like there's videos have emerged from Ukraine that have shown like some like the way they don't, like, you'd be lucky to get a bullet in the head, to be honest. Like, you'd be, by the time they're done with you, you'd be begging for the bullet, because they don't just kill you. Like, they're gonna humans are very sadistic, fucked up creatures. Like, and especially when there's like, if it's a war situation where people that have been killed, or your life has been fucked up, so you have this seething hatred for the other any kind of opposition. So like, when you get your hands on someone, you're not gonna put them out of their misery straight up. You're gonna they chop their man, they torture shit, man. So hopefully, I don't know, man. I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully it turns up, but um, I wouldn't want to get kidnapped by any kind of opposition in a war zone, because they don't put a bullet in your head straight away. They have some fucking they do some shit to you before that. But man, there's a video on YouTube. I'm not even going to show it on here, but I don't know how it was still up. But there was a video of, apparently it was a Ukrainian soldier. I don't even know if he's a soldier, probably some militia, but he had captured a Russian soldier, and it was literally on YouTube yesterday. I found it. I put it on my Twitter, but just as like, I was shocked that it was on YouTube. But yeah, it's like basically a Ukrainian guy apparently stabbing a Russian soldier to death, like, and then it's so fucked up. But I mean, just, I don't know, it's pretty wild. But Zelensky is a dual citizen of Israel. Pretty ironic for using Nazi foot soldiers. It's very bizarre. It is very bizarre. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's very strange. Very strange. These people are not the most. Yeah. It is strange. Yeah, he's like, what's going on? Like he is Jewish. Like, but I'm just saying. Like I didn't do any research into the whole like are there legitimate Nazis in Ukraine? I didn't, but I'm just saying that anecdotally, I know a chick, did a erotic day game there, bro. She was back in this apartment and did an erotic photo shoot with her, checked up on her because I knew she was Ukrainian. She's fucking dating a straight up neo-Nazi. Like he's a it's just, yeah, the guy celebrates Hitler and posts all this weird shit. Yeah, so there's definitely truth to it. Absolutely. Um um Matt says, my dad spent time in Colombia as a kid and had a good friend who was kidnapped for ransom and then killed because his family couldn't pay. Yeah, it's crazy and sad. Yeah, man, it's like there's all kinds of dark corners of the internet where you can like see horrible shit, but of the realities of war. Like it's not like, oh, you just get like shot and you're dead. But uh but yeah, let's change the change the topic. Motivate Ed says, hey Mac, where do you get most line contacts? Closed, bars, street? I mean, street, bar, probably, yeah, probably I mean, when I go out, it tends to be just get a lot of contacts. I get a lot, it's like almost too much. Like it's like I forget who the girls are and stuff, but the contacts I get from, it depends, it depends on how much rapport you build up with the girl from nightlife. If it's just a quick like hello, like what are you up to, like get her contact, it tends to nothing comes of it. But if you spend some time with them and build up some rapport, then something can come of it. Like I was just saying at the start of the episode, I banged like two. I've never been with Mongolian chicks before. I've met Mongolian chicks, but I've never hooked up with Mongolian chicks. And for some reason, this week, in two completely different parts of Tokyo, two different two different places, I've like managed to bang two different Mongolian chicks, and those contacts were from nightlife. But yeah, there's a yeah, it's different. Like day game, you can get a lot of contacts as well. Again, it depends on how much rapport you build up, how much how receptive the girl is to you. A lot of girls, like if you don't build up like a rapport with them, some girls just give you their contact just for the sake of it. They're not really that interested. But the more you do approaches, the more you understand. You can kind of read like, okay, she's kind of just giving me her contact. You can feel it that you're just getting the contact just because she wants to kind of get rid of you. But like some girls will do that. But they're not fooling me or anything. It's not like, but then again, you can never fully read the situation, because there's been times where it's like I felt like it's not that genuine. She's just giving me the contact, but you always shoot your shot. You invite them on a date, and then they come through and you have sex with them. So it's like, wow, okay, well, sometimes it's not like very, very clear. You can, your assessment is never going to be 100% accurate with these chicks, for better or for worse. So yeah, just get contact. If you're on a dry spell, if you're not, like, you just need to get contacts. You just need to be out there. Like you need to be out, just being around chicks, like just getting around chicks, like talking with them, getting better at understanding how to deal with them, and just getting as many contacts as possible and hitting them up, and you're gonna get laid that way. It's just a matter of, it's just a numbers game, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. Yeah, so yeah, so let me just share this again.
Here's a hypothesis. It's not that easy to distinguish the willingness to use casual power and control from competence when you're not very experienced. And so the dark triad types can feign status related competence, and they can ensnare naive women.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And
Okay.
they also have some qualities that women genuinely do desire. So they tend to, like the narcissists, tend to put themselves at the center of attention. And one of the things we know about status hierarchies is that
Jordan Peterson's a bit of a white knight. He has that white knight vibe to him. It's not necessarily that these women are fucking naive. It's that they're attracted to these types, the bad boy types. They're attracted. They want it. They're not they're not that naive about it. It's like they want that. You know. So that's just want to say that.
The attention structure is very important. That is, the high status people tend to be those to whom the most people pay the most attention. And so women are drawn. One anecdote, a female colleague of mine, very intelligent evolutionary psychologist, went to a conference and found herself very attracted to the organizer of the conference. And then 6 months later, she encountered him, and he was just a normal attendee at the conference, and she didn't find him very attractive. She wondered, what was I thinking? But what it was is he was at the center of the attention structure.
This cannot be cannot be understated. This cannot be stated enough. Status is a real attraction cue for women. They get like, it's, status is a huge, it's just females are attracted to men with status, and there's all different kinds of status. So I mean, one of the ways I have seen this in real life is from, like, I've told this story before, but it's, I have a friend in Tokyo, and he's a DJ, and we do games, and I don't see him, like, I think we're quite similar, like, in terms of, like, if it's just us two, I think we could, with strip away all the game, everything, just in terms of physicality, I'd say we're equal enough in terms of SMV, in terms of physicality, like, I would say, actually, I'm like, not to sound big headed or anything, but I would say in terms of athleticism, I'm probably certainly a few points above him. But, like, it's hard to tell sometimes when you're, in terms of height, and when you're dressed and all that. But my point is, the guy's a DJ, so when we've done plenty of cold approaches together before, wingman, whatnot, girls would always be quite equally receptive to us, But when they discover that he's a DJ and they see his Instagram, things change. He gets on top, like, but quite considerably, and it's very obvious. Like, it cannot be hidden. When a girl is attracted to a guy, they can't hide it. They cannot hide that, and it always blows my mind. It's like, oh, it's funny because it's just like, you dirty little rat, man. You got this, like, DJ, you got this advantage, but it's fine, man. It's all good, but it's just interesting. It's like, you got this little DJ hustle, and these young hotties love that shit. They love that status, like, that you're a DJ. And it's so, these bitches are so fucking fickle, but that's just the name of the game, man. It's just the name of the game. But he gets like, it's kind of like if you've ever done game with, like, a really good looking guy, like, and he's your wingman. That's oftentimes that's not a good thing. Like, if you're, that's why guys that do game together, if they're looking to pull two girls that are equally as hot, it's always good to have a wingman that's on your level, that's kind of similar to you, because if you do game with a guy that's like a fucking Chad, like an Adonis, like, and you're like an average dude, you're always gonna get fucking sidelined. You might pick up some scraps, but you're gonna get kind of like, you're gonna get with chicks that if you do manage to pull, if he pulls one chick and you pull the other chick, you're gonna kind of, the other chick that you pull might be getting with you kind of begrudgingly. She'll really want to get with your friend that's like the Adonis dude. So always, the ideal wingman is someone that's kind of like similar to you, maybe has like better games than you, so that you can learn from them, and then that you can like benefit from their game. But if they're like gonna be, above you in physicality and stuff like that, and better looking, better dressed and all that, then you're probably gonna get frustrated that way. But anyway, my point is, status is a big thing, and I've seen that.
Well, the attention structure is an unbelievably reliable indicator of what's valuable, because we don't devote our visual attentive resources to anything that isn't of singular value in the environment. And so that's why precisely why we compete for attention. It's also an extremely valuable resource.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, a valuable and limited resource. It's finite. And so really at every moment we're making decisions about what to allocate our attention to.
I read a funny study once, you might be aware of this, where monkeys, I think they were green monkeys, but I'm not sure, were shown photographs of other members of their troop, and they gazed much longer at the high status individuals in the photographs.
Yeah.
So, and and then you think about that too. There's something really interesting about that, because imagine that compulsion to attend to what acquired status, or let's say competent status, is accompanied in human beings by a profound instinct to imitate.
Right. That's right. Because I mean, we are social learners, and one of the things that we try to do is to emulate those who have qualities that are associated with status. And that gets into, and those vary from group to group and subgroup to subgroup. And in the modern environment, we have this kind of a weird situation of a proliferation of status hierarchies, where you can be the top social influencer, where the only thing you have going for you is, a line of makeup or something like that, or nothing at all. I mean, Paris Hilton was like famous for being famous, and so she got a lot of attention, but there was no real benefit there. But we have like if you play video games, for example, which I don't happen to, but there's status hierarchies within those. The most skilled video game player, the most skilled football player, rugby player, tennis player.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing, that we can create all these competence hierarchies, because what it means is that diverse talents have the opportunity to acquire the status that might also alternatively entice them to violence, let's say, because that is associated with status inequality. And so one of the solutions to status inequality is diverse games of competence, as diverse a range as possible.
Yeah, so, and that's, and that's definitely a good thing, because if there was just one status hierarchy, then that means status is inherently a relative, gauged by relative metric. So if you're the number one, no one else can be the number one. But if you can be the best scholar, the best writer, the best World of Warcraft player, the best tennis player, these multiple status hierarchies give more people the.
Just on the topic of status again, there's a rapper coming to Tokyo. I've just seen it on Instagram. Is Lil Pump is his name. I'm not a fan of his music, but I've just seen all these hoes, like all these 304s in Tokyo, talking about how they want to go and see him. And I saw one in particular that was funny. Just like, since we're speaking about status, like, let me just share it. Share screen. Okay, so it's in Japanese, but she says, her name's Yuki, and she says, tomorrow, Lil Pump, I want to go see Lil Pump because I want to take an OnlyFans video with him. So simply because this guy is like basically saying she wants to fuck him, like she wants him to fuck her, It's just an example, like guys with like fame and status, like they have like almost infinite access to chicks, it's very, it's a red pill, man. It's got to be said. Obviously, she's pretty ratchet, but but still, this is just like this is just showing like what status and fame can do. I mean, even a good girl, even a girl that's like supposedly a good girl, like a innocent girl, like they're all going to be attracted to status. Like even a girl that's not even into rap, if she finds out like he's famous and he's rich and all that, she's gonna be she's probably gonna put out like there's but yeah, I mean it's always gonna be like being like famous like that, like a an internationally recognized musician is like, yeah, it's obviously less than 1% of men, so it's not something, it's not a very practical thing. But it just, the point is, like, even like my friend, he's obviously not an internationally recognized DJ, but like he's just he's a DJ. It's some kind of status that gets him laid, basically. But yeah,
opportunity to gain status.
Another argument against the patriarchy as a unitary idea, right? Well, which patriarchy do you mean? Do you mean like the evil coalition of plumbers, which is a joke I've made before? It's like, that's power,
Right.
is it? Plumbers, really? No,
Right.
they're not organized in terms of their success by which plumber is the meanest and the toughest. That's not how it
Right.
works at all.
Right.
And so-
No, yeah, absolutely. And
I remember actually a chick that I was banging told me that she when she was in high school, she was really attracted to one of her teachers. But then when she graduated, she saw her teacher out and about or whatever, and the attraction was completely gone, because it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like the guy, I guess the guy wasn't her teacher anymore, so it's like the whole fantasy was gone. Like, it's like, okay, the status is irrelevant at that point or something. But it's just kind of interesting.
and I mean that gets into the issue of there are large pools of men who are at the bottom of the status hierarchy, and who don't have the qualities that women desire, and so are they really oppressing women? I mean, there's this interesting there's an interesting photo that I think got captioned, but it's two very elegant women with designer handbags, and they're walking by a guy who's like fixing the tar in the street. He's a street worker fixing the tar, and as they walk by this guy who's groveling on the ground, they say, "Stop oppressing me."
Right.
So anyway.
Right. Well, I wanted to talk to you a bit more about the Dark Triad issue too, because there's a mystery in it, and I think it's one that corrupts psychology to some degree. Research
yeah,
psychology. Oh yes.
Okay.
I'm sure we've all seen it, but I have to share it, I guess. Yeah, it's this one, isn't it? Yeah, it's just like, stop oppressing me. The guy's like fucking breaking his back, fixing the streets. Yeah, so this is why most men are so repulsed by feminism, because we know that it's like, yeah, it's just like garbage. It's just like men are doing most of the dirty jobs, like out fucking everything you see, like everything, all the infrastructure, all the roads, everything is built by groups and fucking teams of men. So it's just like this whole fucking shit that like men just have this easy life, and there's just everything's fucking handed to us on a platter, and it's like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking just, it's just so repulsive. Like, and then there's another one. What is the one? There's some bitch like there's some roadworks, all these men are fixing roads, like breaking their backs, and it's like there's a sign like men at work or something, and some feminist is like, oh my, making a comment about how it's sexist, and oh, there's women at work too, and it's like, man, but that shit, that's that's the world we live in. The world we live in is certainly, it's a very can be quite frustrating, but
just so we didn't mention the third one.
Oh,
which
yes.
is the third element of the dark triad, which is psychopathy. And you probably have a deeper understanding of psychopathy than I do, but one of the hallmarks is a lack of empathy. That is, most normal humans have an empathy circuit that we feel compassion if someone gets hurt, or if a pet gets injured, or a child falls down and skins a knee. We feel a sense of compassion for the suffering of other people, but psychopaths don't. It's like they might laugh if someone gets hurt, and so that empathy circuit seems to be severed. And also, one of the hallmarks seems to be that they're not responsive to punishment. That they're more oriented toward reward, and so punishing them doesn't tend to change their behavior.
It isn't obvious that they have an empathy for their future selves. Right. So punishments, like, well, part of the reason that you react to punishment is because you don't want your future self to be punished again, but you have to care about that before that works.
Right. Yeah, that gets to the issue of the steepness of future discounting.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. They grab for all the gusto right now and don't think about the future consequences.
So one of the things one of the big 5 personality traits that the dark triad is most associated with is agreeableness, low agreeableness. And I do think that research psychologists and psychologists in general have a kind of ethical bias in relationship to the agreeableness dimension, and of course women are higher in trait agreeableness than men.
Right.
Reliably, it's about half a standard deviation. It's one of the biggest sex differences, and it's associated with compassion. And
I'll just say, like, one of the things about he's talking about psychopathy, where a lack of empathy is that on the opposite end of the scale is when guys like try and white knight, and it's like when guys are like trying to show too much empathy. And like my definition of being a white knight, like Will Smith is a perfect definition of a white knight. When he slapped Chris Rock, because it was so uncalled for, it was so unnecessary. He was going out of his way to simp for some bitch, and it's like the perfect definition of being a white knight. Like, honestly, like if you saw an old woman getting mugged, like, and you're in a position to help her, just because you go and help that old woman does not mean you're a white knight, because it's like it's an appropriate action to like go and help her. Like, you're not trying to get laid, you're just trying to you're just a decent fucking dude, like, that doesn't like seeing people getting fucking ripped off, or getting done, seeing like injustice or whatever. That's why Will Smith is like the fucking dictionary definition for me of being a white knight, being a fucking and a white, like, that guy. I wish Chris Rock punched that fucker in the face, man. Like, he deserved to get punched out. Like, when guys white knight like that, they deserve to get mashed, like mashed. Like, that's why it's so annoying that Will Smith got away with like slapping him. Like, it's so unsatisfying to see that. Fuck, man, I wish Will Smith got smashed for that, man. Will Smith deserved to get mashed for that, like, act of being a white knight. And but the trait of being, the dark triad side of that is not giving a fuck. Will like, and it's not like, yeah, obviously Will Smith should not have given a fuck at all. Like, it didn't even call for that. But on the opposite end of the scale, someone that has the psychopathy Psychotic trait is when they don't give a fuck. You know, they see an old woman getting robbed and they just walk by it. And I'm not saying that is right or you should do that, but it's not, you know, but that's just the opposite end of the spectrum.
And politeness in the work we've done anyways. And so that's empathy, at least to some degree. Now, the question is, what is the ethical utility of lower agreeableness, right? Because you'd think, well, it would interfere possibly with sharing, right? Because if you're more compassionate, more empathic, you're going to feel the hunger of other people and you'd be more motivated to care for them, let's say. But it's also possible that that low agreeableness has something to do with, well, perhaps hunting prowess. That might be part of it, but it also might be part of the solution to the free rider problem. And so women are in a conundrum with agreeableness, right? Because they need a mate who's agreeable enough so they can bond with them and that will care for their children and that cares in general. But they need someone who's disagreeable enough so that they're capable, let's say, of dealing with free riders. And
right.
Yeah.
So one way of saying that is agreeable with respect to them, but the potential for being disagreeable with respect to those others when they need to be punished or they need to ward off an attacker.
Right. And you could see that that's a real tight line to walk down, you know, and part of what constrains agreeableness, let's say from a temperamental perspective. So if you're low in agreeableness, let's say, well, you're less empathic, you're more competitive, you're rougher, blunter, tougher, you know, what would you say, at least with regards to the compassion you show to others. And so what helps modulate that? Well, some of that would be conscientiousness. And so in the dark triad types, you see low conscientiousness as well. You know, really low agreeable, high conscientious types are quite interesting because you can trust them because they'll do their duty, but they're very blunt and direct and harsh. And that can be helpful as well because they'll tell you unpleasant truths, even if they hurt your feelings. So there's some utility in that. So you can imagine that agreeableness can be modified, let's say, by conscientiousness. So that takes the psychopathy edge off it, because low agreeableness and low conscientiousness, that's a rough combination.
Yes.
And so, because there's nothing constraining it. And so women are attracted to some degree to the lower agreeable types. And I think that accounts for the bad boy paradox that you described, at least in part. And maybe it takes further experience.
Low agreeableness is definitely one. So here's an example. Like, so when I tried to arrange the date with when I did arrange the date with the Mongolian chick last night, originally, you know, when I invited her to meet, she kind of, and this happens a lot, like she tried to get me to come halfway. And I just said, well, you know, I can maybe pull it up. I think something along the lines of, let me check exactly what I said. Okay, so, you know, I said, are you free tomorrow night? She said, I'm not sure about tomorrow, but maybe Thursday daytime, and not actually free on night. So I said, how about meeting at such and such on Thursday at 4 p.m.? She said, how about meeting in Shibuya? Shibuya is like, you know, is a place that it's not where I live. So I was like, or she said, or Roppongi. I just said, I want to take you somewhere around where I live. I didn't say, I just want to take you somewhere around my station, or around such and such a station. And then she said, okay, are you free tomorrow? Are you free then? Yeah. That's all it took. So I didn't agree. I was disagreeable. I wasn't going to agree with her suggestion to meet at the other spot when I already, you know, so an agreeable guy would have said, oh, sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's meet there. Oh, fine. Yeah. Cause they're so desperate. They don't want to miss the date. They don't want to like risk losing the date, but I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. And then that's part of the dark triad in me, right? That is part of it. I don't care. Like, I'm willing to lose the date. I'm willing to miss the opportunity to meet her. Like, I don't like, because like I said, I'm just like, I'm not in it to like, you know, I'm not in it for like these long-term dating reasons. I'm in it just to have fun and, try and have sex. That's my goal. Like I'm pretty much honest about it. Obviously I'm not going to say, hey, do you want to meet me at my place to have sex? Because if you do that, you're an idiot and it's anti-game. But you don't verbalize it. You're implying that you want to have sex with them by, like, you know, deciding the your location, which is obviously around where you live.
And wisdom on the part of judicious women to see where they can get the disagreeableness that's necessary, but it has to be hemmed in by something like, well, conscientiousness.
Right. Yeah, other personality traits like conscientiousness. Yeah. I mean, one other reason that I think that women are attracted to the dark triad, at least the younger women, is that they're often risk takers. So they will do things like motorcycle jumping or ski jumping, or take physical risks, speeding in their cars, or and so the kind of daredevil mentality, and women, at least younger women, find that exciting. But
I wonder if they confuse that with trait openness, right? Because the open types are going to experiment. They're going to try.
Women find that kind of daredevil exciting because women are just like opposites attract. So women can't comprehend like that kind of guys taking risks like that, because generally female nature is like, I don't know what other way to describe it, but like most females are cowards in regards of risk taking. They're like they're the complete opposite of taking risks. Like females in general don't take much risks at all, especially if it's like, involves any kind of physical danger. So if they see a guy that's like willing to take like risks, like, dangerous risks, that's exciting to them, because it's so opposite. It's the exact opposite of how how they are, basically. You know I mean, even a lot of like very feminine women are like, even the slightest things, even the slightest little things that aren't scary at all, they'd be like, "Oh my god, it's so scary," and it's like, no, it's not. Like, I don't know, a water slide or something. I don't know. It's just like generally they don't like dangerous things, even things that are only mildly dangerous. Girls be, "Oh my god, it's scary! Oh my god!" Like, running away from spiders and shit. Like,
Lots of different things, and that daredevil, I don't care, might be not easily distinguished from the capacity to engage in creative problem solving pursuits, and perhaps with courage as well.
Yeah. So I think courage, and also one of the, that people who take risks often in fact have the ability to afford those risks, if you will. So for example, doing some dangerous athletic feat, if you're not an athletic person, you're going to fail at that. And so in some sense, some of these daredevil behaviors, I think, are kind of cues that you have the ability to afford to take those risks. But these guys, these high dark triad.
Just on that point, like the cues, just thinking about cues there. There's also like cues that you're going to be good in bed as well. I think chicks know, like they have a good idea, like I think, whether or not you're going to be good at sex or not. Like one of those cues, like, that you're going to be good in bed is when you're like, you're naturally able to close the distance, and you're naturally able to like touch them without being creepy and without being excessive, and touching them like appropriately for, building up and like unapologetically and unashamedly, escalating physically with them. That's a sign to them that you're going to be like, this guy's going to fucking, he knows what he's doing. Like they know, just even by the way you hold their hand or by the way you shake their hand. These are cues that you're going to be good in bed. And like the bad boy is going to not give a fuck. He's going to, be able to escalate and not be like, oh my God, the worst thing you can do on a date is like sit, like to hold the distance between you and the girl and not like try and physically escalate. And I'm not saying like you have to physically escalate to the point where you're like grabbing their ass or like, you know, but it can get to that point, but it's always, you know, it's, my point is like there's cues, like even the way you speak to a girl, even the way your whole demeanor, like if you're all nervous and self-conscious and like, you know, meek around a chick, like from the get-go, from the introductions, she knows, like she knows that, like innately she knows you're probably going to suck in bed, because like guys that have gotten laid a lot, generally speaking, are not going to be nervous around women. That's the thing. It's just like, it's like practice. Like it's like the more women you've been with, the less, like, it's not rocket science. The more women you've been with, the less nervous you're going to be around women. So like, obviously, if you've been with a lot of women, you must be good. You must be, you know, you must be pretty good in bed, because, you know, you're obviously bringing something to the table, like, you know, or else you wouldn't get with so many women, you know? So it's like women don't want to be told like explicitly that like you get with a lot of women, or you've been with a lot of women. They just want to know it, you know. There should be cues, like they'll get, like, you sound like a douche if you sound like an idiot if you know, you sound like a real dickhead if you start telling them, oh yeah, oh I have so many girls, and like, oh you sound like you're full of shit if you come out that directly about it. So, you know, it's the whole thing. Whenever a chick asks you your notch count, you like, you know, you amplify it, or you never tell them straight up about how many women you've been with. Even though I actually wouldn't even be able to tell them. But you know, even the chick last night, she asked me how many women I've been with. And I was like, oh my god, probably 2 million. Just like I said, obviously a ridiculous number. Like, and of course I didn't tell her how many, and I wouldn't have been able to, even if you know, I don't even know the number myself. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's just you don't fucking, like, you know, there's cues. Like, I mean, there's like there's just things, and it's not even forced. It's just natural. It's just there's natural indicators that you get with a lot of women. Like, there's just ones off the top of my head are like, you know, ran like straight off. She comes back to your house. There's like some random hair clips like on your table from previous girls that have been here, and they're not placed there. They're not like, oh, I put those hair clips so she's going to see them. No, it's they happen to be there. They weren't forcefully put there. Another thing could be you you only have sex with her one time, and then, you know, you're trying to have sex with her the second time, but there's no more condoms left. Why did you only have one condom? You know, it's kind of like, it's obvious that you were obviously with other women. Like, you used all, like, she sees the box and you go for the condom, and then like there's no more condoms left to, you know, when you're trying to fuck her the second time. It's like, oh shit, he's like, their attraction level to you goes up. You know, obviously another one could be that you're getting messages on your phone from other chicks. She might not even see them. Like, she just hears your phone buzzing. Like, she knows that people are trying to contact you. You're not like, you know, so just these are just indicators that, like, you know, that you're in demand. And they're usually, when this kind of happens, they're yeah, it can definitely, their attraction to you can definitely go up, because they know that you're in demand and that you're, you know.
Guys are absolutely disastrous as long-term mates. So that they might be exciting for sure. I mean, that's why I think that women, as they mature, stop being attracted to these guys, especially if they're looking for a long-term mate, because these are guys.
That's something I disagree with. They don't stop being attracted to these guys. That's the thing. They don't. It's just that they settle for the beta provider, because they understand that it's going to be, yeah, they're not going to get the provision from the bad boys, you know, because the bad boys don't give a fuck about them, you know. Bad boys don't care. Bad boys put themselves first. Bad boys, you know, bad boys got to eat first, you know.
Guys, they're the dark side. They're more likely to cheat. They're more likely to seduce and abandon. They're more likely to engage in deceptive mating tactics, and so they tend to be big trouble when it comes to long-term mating.
Yeah, well, it also looks like they value themselves greatly. And, sometimes people value themselves greatly. And so they have high mate desirability in your terminology, or maybe some little corruption of your terminology. And again, I think the Dark Triad guys mimic that. It's like, I'm so good, I can afford to, distribute my sexual prowess wherever I see fit. And there's some of that happens as men rise in competence hierarchies as well. Well,
Yes.
it happens with women when they rise in their hierarchy.
And we are live. All right, so there you have it. Yeah, the Dark Triad, the bad boys. It's just if you're looking to get with the really hot young chicks, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to incorporate some of the Dark Triad elements for sure, and less so with the even with the older chicks, displaying some of the Dark Triad is definitely, it's always gonna benefit you to some point. It just depends on the age of the girl and where she's at. If you go on it, I've said it before, I said it again. Like, ironically, sometimes the older chicks can actually make it more difficult to have sex with them, because they're really trying to figure out, are you boyfriend material, are you husband material or not. So they're gonna, maybe if they find fuck boy, playboy vibes off you, they're just gonna cut you off immediately, because they're really desperately they're in a search for a provider. They want to have forget about all the shit that these bitches say about, oh, I'm an independent woman, I want all the, I want, no, at the end of the day, they want a provider. They want, when they get to that age, the fucking, the lights are about to be turned on in the club, as they say, it's almost over for them, in terms of their ability to reproduce, and their ability to find a high value guy is getting less and less. They'll start to they'll start to turn a cold, I'd turn away from bad boys. It's not that they're not attracted to the bad boys. They're still sexually attracted to the bad boys, but they're just women are better at abstaining from sex than men are. So they'll tend to be able to they'll turn it down. They can turn sex down from one of the bad boys, and focus on finding the beta provider, even though they've given up all their best selves to all the other bad boys, and they've all done it. This is just how it goes down in Western societies. There's just it's just the way it is. And I'm not going to be one of these guys. I'm not going to be one of these guys that is going to be captain save a hoe, wifing up a girl that has given herself away to giving her best self away to all these other guys. But it's just not worth it anymore. The world we live in, there's too many risks, way too many risks involved. Yeah, it is what it is. I just want to remind you guys one more time. So about this webinar, if you're interested, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be on April 25th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. PST. Game 9000 video webinar hosted by Red Pill Thor, which will feature Sterling Cooper, myself, Huds, and Afi Kingdom. 3-hour long webinar, and it's going to feature all of us. Workshop webinar on how to get started with threesome game, harem game, BDSM, lifestyle, escalation, erotic, dirty talk, and much more. So it's going to be interesting. So if you're interested, check out the link in the description. Post a link in the chat. Sign up and level up your game. It's a pretty advanced level game, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a good time. So until then, that's This is coming up pretty soon, actually. That's going to be on Tuesday, actually. So yeah, it's my time on Tuesday morning. So usually I live stream on Tuesday, but probably not going to be live streaming. I'll be in that webinar. So if you're interested, sign up. Going to be a good time. So until then, have a good weekend. Peace out, guys. Bye bye.